All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Sacramento County Planning Commission on May 10th, 2021. Can we start with a roll call?
Yes, Commissioners Hom,
Here.
Martinson,
Here.
Raythel, Chair Shelby,
Here.
and Tatishi, and we know that he is absent. And you do have a quorum.
Okay, we'll start in the opening statement.
Okay, in compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and close to in-person public participation. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, caller can be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Please feel free to send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record.
All right, thank you. Can I call it the first item on the agenda?
Yes, the item number one is it's the Sacramento County 2021 through 22 5-year capital improvement plan review. And of course, the environmental document is that it's not applicable.
Good evening, Chairperson Shelby and Commissioners. My name is John Lundgren, Senior Planner with Planning and Environmental Review. Can I just get a confirmation of audio, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. This is our 5-year annual review of the 5-year capital improvement plan that we bring to you every year. With us on the meeting tonight, on the off chance that there should be any questions, we do have Colin Bettis, the County Debt Officer, Liz Bellis, Director with Parks, Frieden McLean representing airports, and Rick Carter representing Sacramento County Department of Transportation. And Chairperson Shelby, I do have a 6-slide presentation, or we can forego that. Your choice, sir.
No, let's go through the, you said 6 slides. We should go through your.
Okay, next slide, please. So our capital improvement program identifies the capital improvements in the county for an outlook of 5 years. And this is set forth in our county code. And the purpose of planning and environmental reviews analysis and bringing it to the Planning Commission is for us to recommend, and then the Planning Commission to find that the projects are consistent with the general plan. And it's very important to know that we're not here to evaluate the merits of these projects, their costs, or their environmental impacts. That will come later. The purpose of this is to make sure that the projects as proposed are not inconsistent with our general plan. This is a high-level review. Next slide, please. And the Board of Supervisors reviewed the CIP in one of their April meetings and has referred it to the Planning Department to take it here now to the Planning Commission. If the Planning Commission determines, consistent with staff's recommendation, that we are consistent, then your resolution tonight will direct the county executive staff to send this back to the board, where they'll receive the findings and adopt the CIP as part of the end of the year budget process. Now, we review the projects that are not previously reviewed. The CIP is a rather large document. There was instructions in your packet how to review the entire document. So what we do with this annual review is just review the new projects or those that were not previously discussed. And the majority this year were existing improvements to facilities and infrastructure upgrades. Next slide, please. And the county, the categories I'll run through really quick, and I will note for this year, the Mather Community Campus is a new category. We also have airports, county buildings, capital and construction, regional parks, libraries, transportation, waste management and recycling, and water resources, both their 2 functions, the drainage side of the house and the water supply of the house. Next slide, please. In your staff report materials, there are the attachments. I mentioned how it talked about how to review the complete CIP. You'll find staff's general plan policy analysis as well as the project descriptions for the new projects. Staff has completed our analysis, and it's our analysis that the projects are consistent with the general plan. And next slide, please. The next slide contains staff's recommendation, should you be so inclined. And I won't read that now, and I will pause and make myself available for any questions.
Do you have any questions for staff? I don't hear any. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, there are no public comments on this item.
All right, we can close the public comment. We can entertain a motion.
I'll move staff recommendation. This is Kara.
I'll second the motion. This is Alan.
Okay, and for the roll call vote, Commissioner Hom,
Yes.
Martinson,
Yes.
Rathel, Shelby,
Yes.
and Tatishi, who is absent, and the motion passes. Item number 2 on your agenda this evening is for special planning area ordinance recession, and the environmental document is that it's exempt.
Good evening. This is David Ulrey, the planner for the Calvine Road Highway 99 Special Planning Area Ordinance Repeal. Next slide, please. So the request is a zoning ordinance amendment to repeal the Calvine Road Highway 99 Special Planning Area Ordinance and rezone the properties within the SPA to zoning districts consistent with the underlying Sacramento County zoning code. The project's located at the south side of Calvine Road between Highway 99 and Cliff Crest Drive in the South Sacramento community. It is important to note that this special planning area was largely annexed to the city of Elk Grove upon their incorporation. So that red outlined area that you see at the top of that aerial image there is the only remaining within the county. Next slide, please. So here we have the existing special planning area ordinance subdistricts. Next slide, please. And then the proposed. Next slide. And then here is the proposed zoning map. Next slide, please. So key points, the desire for the repeal was initially brought to planning's attention due to commercial buildings coming in for facade improvements and being triggered to go through a development plan review to the Planning Commission. And in January of 2019, the Commission adopted a resolution initiating these efforts to repeal the SPA. Next slide, please. The final decision body is the Board of Supervisors. And so some timeframes here. In 1993, the board did approve the Calvine SPA to guide development to be supportive of the proposed light rail stop within the plan area. In 2003, Regional Transit did reroute the proposed light rail station to Cosumnes River College, eliminating the need for the transit-oriented development standards and guidelines that are prescribed by the SPA. The SPA does require the development plan review to be approved by the Planning Commission for all projects aside from single-family residential. This is thought to create an additional barrier to development within the SPA. It is not required outside of the area. And this was really done to ensure that projects would meet the transit-oriented development standards and be supportive of that. But given the lack of transit materializing at this location, that was not seen as needed. And then in 2019, the Elk Grove City Council did adopt a resolution to repeal the portion of the SPA within their jurisdiction. And staff did notify affected property owners in August, and no concerns were raised. And the South Sacramento Community Planning Advisory Council did meet and recommend approval of the repeal in October of 2020. Next slide, please. And so with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Supervisors to recognize the exempt status of the request under Section 15183 of the California Environmental Quality Act, and approve the zoning ordinance amendment to repeal the Calvine Road Highway 99 SPA and rezone properties within the SPA to zoning consistent with the Sacramento County Zoning Code. And that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions. We do also have a representative from Regional Transit in attendance as well to answer any questions for them.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for staff? I don't hear any. Do you have any public comments on this item?
No, there are no public comments.
We can close public comment and then we can entertain a motion.
This is Alan. I'll make a motion to accept staff recommendations.
All right,
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead.
And Commissioner Hahn,
Yes?
Martinson,
Yes.
Raythel, Shelby,
Yes.
Tatishi, and the motion passes to accept staff recommendations. And for commissioners, for item number 3, the applicant, we received a request from the staff received a request from the applicant for continuance. So I'll go ahead and read it into the record. And I believe Principal Planner Chris Bahuli may want to jump in after that point. So let me read it into the record and we can move forward. So item number 3 is for a community plan amendment, rezone, zoning ordinance amendment, tentative subdivision map, special development permit and design review, located approximately 200 feet east of Stockton Boulevard near the southeast corner of Stockton Boulevard and Elsie Avenue in the South Sacramento community. And the environmental document is a mitigated negative declaration.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chris Bahuli with the Office of Planning and Environmental Review. As Lydia mentioned, we did get a request from the applicant team earlier this afternoon. We made them aware that there were going to be 3 commissioners present at today's meeting. And given that their item includes a zoning ordinance, they requested that the item be continued until such time that all 5 commissioners would be present. So at this time, we do believe that we will have all 5 commissioners at the June 14th hearing. And so at this time, we are recommending that the item be continued to that hearing on June 14th.
All right, I'll move to continue to June 14th.
I'll second.
Thank you, commissioners. And for the roll call vote, Commissioners Hahn,
Yes?
Martinson,
Yes.
Raythel, Shelby,
Yes.
and Tatishi. And the motion passes for continuance. The item number 4 is for the planning director's report.
I did want to provide a couple of quick updates on items that have recently been heard by the Board of Supervisors. On April 28th, the board considered a few items that were previously reviewed by the Planning Commission. They considered the Brookside Equestrian Center and the Eschaton parking lot expansion. Both of those items were approved. Also on April 28th, I had mentioned previously that the board was going to take up a workshop to talk about the Alberta specific plan and challenges with infrastructure requirements in the Alberta specific plan, primarily water supply and transportation improvements. That workshop was continued. Staff is targeting a workshop date of June 15th with the Board of Supervisors, and I will continue to keep you updated on the outcomes from that workshop. I also wanted to note that on May 18th, so next week, the board is scheduled to hear the Prestige Congregate Care project. As a reminder, the Planning Commission approved their use permit, and it was appealed by the Orangevale CPAC. And so that community interest appeal will be heard next week by the Board of Supervisors. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that staff is meeting with the CPACs. We had our first meeting last week with the North Island CPAC, where we started to review some proposed zoning code amendments. Actually, I'm sorry, it was the Antelope CPAC last week. Some proposed zoning code amendments to make our multifamily use and development standards consistent and streamlined per recent state legislation. So we're going to continue having those meetings over the course of the next couple of months, and there should be a package for Planning Commission consideration in late summer, early fall. So that
Hey,
concludes
Chris, can you just say more about the legislation? Which particular law are you and what changed?
Yeah, so there were multiple pieces of legislation, including SB 330, but all of them had the kind of intent of ensuring that that municipalities design guidelines and also their code were as objective as possible. There was to be no subjectivity within the design guidelines and within the code, as well as looking to streamline processes. And so there was a funding source that was made available to local governments through SB2 to allow for enhancements or streamlining to be incorporated into the zoning code and design guidelines. And so we have taken advantage of that. We're looking at multiple enhancements or improvements to our zoning code in an effort to kind of streamline, make easier multifamily developments throughout the county. And so again, we're out meeting with the communities and talking about some of those changes that we are proposing. And once we get through that process, then we'll be bringing it forward to the Planning Commission.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, that was all that I had.
And then any miscellaneous scheduling items?
I don't have anything. I know that the clerk of the board did send out a note earlier today checking on attendance for the June 14th hearing. We have a number of items, including the one that was continued today, and we also have the housing element, which is we're looking to bring on that evening. So the hope is that we will have all 5 members present. So just if you can respond to that inquiry, or perhaps let us know now whether or not you'll be able to make that June 14th meeting, that would be helpful.
I'll be there. This is Kara.
And Chris, this is Alan. I should be there. Well, I will be there, but I may be a few minutes late. I'm taking my daughters to the airport, but I should be there on time.
This is Alma from the clerk of the board. I did receive a response from member Raythel, and he confirmed his attendance as well.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
I confirmed as well, rep for the meeting too.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure did. Thank you. And item 5 is for public comments, and there are none.
We'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.